What's up, guys? This is Skyless here alongside Arctic.
What's up?
We're going to be doing another hero analysis breakdown for Overwatch. Blizzard gave us a couple more gameplays this week from Tracer and Symmetra. It's actually the same gameplay because it was the same match, actually. Both from the perspective of the defending team, the Symmetra and the Tracer both played on that side.
And I was gonna say, are there some side-by-sides of this? There has to be something, right?
Yeah, there's one that was it was like a YouTube, one of those sites where you can queue up the YouTube videos. They both start at the same time.
Okay.
So like they had it playing. You can see some of the kills were pretty interesting. Where it's like, oh yeah, that looks pretty neat how that happened. You know, at the same time, you don't really gain that much value out of it. It's really preferable to have two separate matches to be able to dissect. But in this case, we get one match, which was pretty one-sided for the most part.
Yeah.
As the Tracer just pub stomped the shit out of him.
Tracer went in. This is the disappointing. It makes me sad and happy at the same time. I'm sad because I know that after this gameplay, Tracer's stock just went up 200%, and
she was already a fan favorite.
Right, and so you know, the fact that there's going to be way more Tracers now is kind of heartbreaking because, you know, I looked at Tracer and I was like, I really want to play that character when I initially saw it, and now it's like I still want to play her, but it's like, oh, there's going to be so many Tracers.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see like how it actually works when there's that many Tracers running around. It seems like it'd just be mayhem, and it'd be like one of the worst characters you can have a lot of in a match in terms of like playing someone seriously. That said, I think there's some counters which you can deal with her. She's not going to be running 25-0 every game.
Right.
She was kind of, in this gameplay, the team comp for their team was Tracer, Symmetra, Widowmaker, Mercy, Winston, and Torbjorn, which is a really heavy support team for the Tracer when you look at it, because Symmetra has her shields, we'll talk about here in a little bit. Torbjorn can also drop armor for Tracer. So she was already running around with like a stacked health pool. And then you have Mercy on top of that, healing everyone up all the time, and kind of there as a just general savior. And even if the Tracer had died, Mercy may have just brought her right back shortly after. So like the team was set up very well for Tracer to be successful. And on the enemy team, they don't have any lockdown for the Tracer running all over the place. They had Symmetra, Tracer, they had the same setup. Winston, Reaper, Pharah, and Reinhardt. So they really lacked something to kind of keep the Tracer from just running all over the place on the defending side.
I'm looking at that team comp, and I'm just kind of wondering what would even make be close. And I'm thinking it's like a combination of Winston and Reaper. But Reaper just seems so slow with some of those things. Like there was one scenario where Reaper did his ult, and she like just teleported out of there so quickly, and he was shooting at nothing.
Yeah. I think the Reaper needed to play more kind of trappy, you know, since he could force her to go back every now and then. But he wasn't, like, in a position to actually finish her, where he has the, I think it's called Shadow Step or something like that. I can't remember what the spell is called. But he can go back to a location. So he kind of has the similar mechanics of Tracer, where you could set that up so that he could potentially catch her on the way out. But it's rough. Like, the thing about Tracer that I noticed from the gameplay is you have to deal with two health pools. Like you have to kill her twice essentially if you want to bring her down. Because when she uses her ultimate, or no, not even her ultimate, recall.
It's a recall,
which is E. That also restores her health, ammo, and where she was. So when she goes back to that location, then it like completely resets everything. So you have to kill her, either burst her down, which this comp wasn't really that well equipped to do, outside of a Reaper shotgun blast or something, or you need to kill her twice. Which is the hard part, because the shift, I was actually surprised just going down the ability list, the blink on shift, those charges came back really fast.
Really fast, man. She was just, it's gonna be a nightmare. Just thinking about it, it's gonna be a nightmare to deal with. And like when you're playing Tracer, you're just gonna be like, oh my god, this is so much fun. So
she was all over the place. She was also trying some jumps in the video. She tries a few jumps that like don't even look close. And I'm kind of curious if it was just a case of, like, they changed something in alpha and, like, maybe the person was just not really up to date on the changes or whatever. Or if, like, there's more to the character where you can actually pull off some of those. It was, like, crossing horizontal gaps with the blink, essentially, is what she was trying to do.
Right. I think you mentioned jumps. One of the things that really stuck out to me was like the lack of vertical movement in general from her. It was like very straight, horizontal, one plane type of gameplay. And I was actually wondering, I was like, I didn't actually see it until maybe, or noticed until maybe oh no, it was a 6 minute, maybe 3 minutes into the video. I was like, oh, she actually does have a jump. It's so small,
Yeah.
like she doesn't get off the air. It makes it seem like she's just on one plane the entire time. Whereas when you got that video of the cinematic, it makes it look like she's like, teleporting and blinking all up in the air and all over the place. You know what I mean? So I was a little, I guess, actually seeing it in play like that. I was a little like, that's not quite what I thought it would be. I thought she'd be more aerial than what she is. But regardless, I mean, Blink is amazing.
Yeah, the rate at which the things came back was pretty nuts. She was almost never out of charges.
Yep.
Like, the moment she used her last charge, another one was already back up.
Yep.
Seems pretty crazy. I didn't see what do you see what the time, the cooldown was on recall? It seemed pretty short, but I wasn't sure what the exact number was.
I didn't see it that many times, to be honest, during that game. Not enough to where I was keeping track of it versus like that McCree, the shift I was like looking for.
Yeah.
And this I wasn't necessarily looking for as much. It's just like, it seems so situational, whereas that shift you need to do a lot more. This one is like, oh, I went into the wrong location. Let me back off. Or I need to get back. I killed all these people. I need to get back to where I was since they're all dead. You know what I mean? That happened a couple times when she ulted in and then like reversed back. As a matter of fact, I think that happened on that triple that they showed us, like the highlight of the game.
Yeah, with the pulse bomb.
Yeah.
So pulse bomb on its own was pretty cool.
I really liked it.
It's basically like a superpowered sticky grenade from Halo.
I didn't think that it was going to be as effective as it was. And maybe this player just has it really down. Or maybe the team comp was just in favor of that working well. But I was like, oh, man, that's way better than I thought it was. I just thought it was like a... you might get a pick here and there, but it's a nade. I can just get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's a guaranteed kill. At one point, the interesting part of the gameplay, and this is something we've been kind of talking about last week as well, is just kind of the liability of the tank characters and how we haven't really seen like how they're effective or like where they shine.
Mm-hmm.
But she was picking on the Reinhardt quite a bit, where the Reinhardt would have his shield up, and she would take the opportunity just to shoot at the shield. And shooting at the shield got her ultimate meter up, and she got a bomb. And then she used that to just blink at him and drop the bomb on his face and then warp back out. It was like, oh, nice shield. Like, it didn't help you at all in the situation whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what we were talking about last week, where I think the ultimate meter is super important, and like giving that ability to just kind of trade damage, or in this case, get free damage because he couldn't actually shoot back, is pretty huge, and it just kind of leads to big plays at the ultimates. Yeah, so I felt like in this case, like the enemy team was highly a liability. Winston's kind of the same way, where it's just a big bullet sponge for her to get her ultimate meter up on.
Yeah, I noticed there's a couple times when that Winston, I don't know what the move set is, where it looks like it's like a berserk, and he was just running around like melee, and it was just like free damage. Let me just get this free damage in on you. Let me get my ult up.
It didn't seem like he was ever going to be able to lock down the Tracer.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
There's no way.
Pretty much.
There was a funny Winston versus Winston battle as well, where they were just on each other in the corner.
I saw that. Yep.
Some funny stuff.
So, I mean, how do you kind of see Tracer fitting in to the lineup?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned last week when we were talking about Mercy that I felt like Tracer was potentially the Mercy killer, and it was kind of the person which you would send in there to go after the kind of swishy backline targets, because she is able to kind of warp out of there. Or it's just a like constant skirmishing type character where you're just constantly going in and out of fights, like in this gameplay. I think ultimately, like in a more highly competitive or structured environment, I don't think there'd be that much chaos for her to kind of thrive in, like she did in this gameplay. She was shooting lots of people in the back and like catching people off guard and just constantly being a nuisance. But I think in a more structured environment, it'll be more of a pick-off oriented type gameplay, where really she should be the one that's able to kill Mercy, because she can go in as deep as anyone. She can get past the front lines into the back lines in 2 blinks. Just boom, 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 and all of a sudden she's on the Mercy. So I think it's going to be someone who's kind of the focus on killing the supports in the back line.
So do you see this something like, okay, Tracer leads as everyone else is pushing Tracer's off, like doing this objective, gets that kill on Mercy or whoever is the target, and then makes that call to the rest of the team to say, hey, all right, job's done. Let's continue this push.
Yeah, or just stops the push on defense. Like, realistically, if the healer gets dropped out, if it's like a team that was really relying on Mercy, or a team that's really relying on Zenyatta, and they drop that support in the back line, I think that's enough to stop a push in a like structured environment.
Okay, I would definitely agree with that.
It's possible that it's just like she's a flanker as well, so instead of like maybe being the first one in, she's actually just kind of going off on a separate route and then kind of meeting in the back line. But still, I think that as a Tracer player, your goal is just kind of home in on that back line the entire game. Because if you're in the front lines fighting, you're just not really going to be that effective. Although, her bomb was taking out the tanks in one hit, so... And it was pretty reliable compared to some of the other ultimates we've seen that do damage. Like, there's not many abilities in the game that can one-hit a tank that I can think of.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know
how important it is to be able to one-hit a tank and waste your ultimate on that.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it'd probably be better utilized in a couple different situations. What do you think about the pulse pistols versus some of the other things that we've seen so far? I'm not overly impressed with them.
They're pretty weak. But more than anything, they just didn't seem fun. Like, looking at the gameplay, her primary didn't seem fun at all. It was just kind of like a machine gun, right?
Right.
They didn't really come off as pistols as much as it was just a machine gun. And they were on the weaker side. It seems like there might be some play there, like fighting against low health characters like Hanzo, or I think Mercy's a bit on the low side, or McCree. Like, there can be some fights there. We don't know if there's headshot modifiers on those. I'd assume there is, but I'm not sure.
It didn't look... I mean, it was so hard to tell. It didn't look like
she wasn't aiming for the head, and it was pretty good player, so I would assume that if there was, she would have been aiming for the head. So maybe not. Maybe there isn't a headshot modifier. But if there isn't, then they're really lame weapons. It's really all about just getting your charges up.
Getting your charge up.
For your pulse bomb. Which she did a good job of in the gameplay. She was constantly shooting at people. Like, just constantly putting in shots and getting the charge up and dropping pulse bombs all over the place.
Counters. Who's the big counter for Tracer?
Yeah, we talked about it last week when we were talking about McCree. And McCree is like the hardest of hard disengage characters. And really, it's anyone with lockdown is ultimately what you need, and that to a T is McCree. I can't really think of anyone else that has that kind of instant lockdown which you need to kill a Tracer.
There's
like,
a
Symmetra turret's slow, but that's not going to help.
I was gonna say there is a character with a couple like stuns and slows. There's one that's like a trip mine slow. I remember it on the McCree gameplay because he shot it a couple times, like his body got stuck on it. I don't know who has that.
That was Symmetra. So that was Symmetra's
was
turrets.
It Symmetra?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are the turrets. They have a slow, but against Tracer doesn't help, right? Because she just warps back. Like.
Right. Okay.
So really, like Reinhardt's ultimate can stop him, which just knocks her over, and that's a free kill. Winston might be able to do something with a charge, but I don't know. It seems like McCree is the way to go. And without McCree in the comp, I don't know how Tracer's going to be locked down very well. Maybe you can get like an Orb of Discord on her, and that will be enough to be able to get bursts. Or maybe a Hanzo can get headshots and be able to take her down. Like, if you're a good Tracer, though, you're going to blink away from all those Hanzo charges.
So that's what I'm thinking. It's like every single situation I was like, okay, if I fought this character, how would I play? I would probably, if I was in a bad situation, I'm blinking out. The only other person I can think of that could probably burst me down would be McCree at distance before I was in, right? Like, you see it coming. And even then, when we saw that McCree gameplay, he got killed by Tracer there at the end a couple times in a row. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I do think that a good Reaper might be able to lock him down. The Reaper in the gameplay was not able, though.
Not
at all. I don't think the Reaper in the gameplay was very good either. He seemed a bit overwhelmed by the teleporting. It's possible the Reaper can deal with it. It's going to be a hard character to deal with, is ultimately the conclusion here, where I think most characters in the game have pretty straightforward ways to counter and fight. It's just pretty straight, you shoot them, and they don't have great mobility. They don't have like lots of options to get out of the way quickly. But this character just has so much mobility that not having lockdown is gonna be huge.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what did you think about? I mean, I just don't see situations where they would be encountering each other a lot. But Farah,
Yeah, I still need to see some Farah gameplay to see just how effective the concussion blast is.
yeah, that's kind of what I see. It's like, okay, let me rain down on Tracer.
I think it's called concussion blast. There's yeah. I should have listed the abilities for her. But yeah, I think Farah might be able to do something. I doubt it though. It's projectile based, right? So
That's true.
dealing with a Blink character with projectiles
That's gonna be tough. You're right.
Yeah, Tracer looks super good. I think Tracer will be a key component. The one thing she doesn't do well is actually play objective. Because
Or it's too squishy.
be tied to one place and she's squishy, right?
Yeah.
So it's strictly a Slayer kind of disrupting the backline role. And I don't think she has much potential to be on the point, but shouldn't have to be on the point, right?
Yeah.
On that note, we can go to Symmetra, though.
I don't really have too much I want to say on Symmetra. I don't feel like the character is something that I would particularly play, so it makes it difficult for me to want to analyze Symmetra's gameplay. I guess minute by minute from what we watch. On top of that, the player that we watched wasn't particularly interesting to watch as a player.
We mentioned that it was nice that they have their best player in all these videos. And they did have their best player in this video, but it was on the Tracer gameplay.
Right. So
Symmetra was like second, third, fourth best player in the match, maybe. And it was a pretty boring gameplay, ultimately. It was a support character not being played particularly well. As far as
there's a couple things that I saw that I really liked. There was the teleport portal that she put right in the back of that hill, so that her players when they died on respawn, they came out around the backside in that corner, which was extremely difficult for them, the enemy team, to see, and then they would just pop up and automatically be already kind of in a defensive position on that ring. I like that, and it looked like I didn't see her go back to this strategy, but at the very beginning of the game, they're laying down defenses. She threw up those mines up at the top of that room, and then didn't revisit doing that at any point during the gameplay. From what I remember, it was like she did that one time, and it's like, if that's where they're coming from, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you running that consistently? You know what I mean? Trying to set that up and slow them down.
Yeah, just throwing like one-off turrets everywhere, just one, in an area, and it wasn't like a concentrated effort to try and get a kill net going.
Right.
So going down the abilities, we'll start with the primary fire. What do you think about the lightning beam? It's supposed to, and it wasn't very clear in the gameplay, but after it connects to enemies for a while, it's supposed to ramp up in damage. And one of the Blizzard reps on the subreddit actually says this is one of the highest damage per second things in the game once it gets ramped up. And it's similar to Void Rays in StarCraft, where you can actually keep the charge going as you switch from target to target.
I don't think we were watching a player that could execute that well.
Yeah, it didn't happen ever. I think the damage by default was super low. Like, didn't seem like he was doing anything. She kept putting it on Winston, and Winston was just like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
You aren't doing shit right now.
I didn't notice it. I mean, I didn't think it was particularly good. You know what? Immediately, I thought it was the Link gun.
Yeah.
From Unreal Tournament. So
except you don't have to really aim it. It was like auto aim all over the place.
So I mean, that's kind of what I initially thought of when I saw it. I was like, oh, that's the lightning or the Link gun from UT. But there was no. I don't even remember a kill with it.
I don't think there was.
I don't even think there was a kill with it.
I don't think there was.
I didn't come away with that overly impressed. I would tickle some people and just try to play my position.
Be the tickler?
I'd be the tickler, yeah.
I mean, if it does ramp up in damage, it could potentially be a really viable thing in a team fight where I don't think Symmetra's going to be the one that's necessarily focused down. And she might be able to just kind of be racking up this damage modifier over the course of the fight until a point where she's just one-hitting people.
One-hitting?
Yeah, just...
I could see that.
And the other thing, if you hold right-click, it does a charge and fires that slow-moving energy ball.
That was terrible.
It was pretty terrible, but as an area denial, I don't know if it was this gameplay. I think it might have been the might have been like Mercy or one of the other gameplays, but you can see it kind of just in a hallway scenario where it was just keeping it really hard to push down that hallway because they had to wait for the ball, and like the ball was just kind of like a area denial, kind of like firing like a shock blast down a hallway, you know, that kind of deal. But it's just so slow.
That's the thing, Colin. That's the thing right there. If I could see it, I would not say that I didn't feel like it was terrible. If I didn't feel like that thing was not so slow, I literally saw it float out, and I thought, oh, that must be like a mine or something like that. Like it's moving way too fast to actually have someone get hit by it. It's just like it was that slow.
It wasn't a case though where the person playing didn't like try to just charge it preemptively, you know, to try to catch people as they turn a corner. Like you might be able to use it kind of similar to a shotgun blast. Yeah, you know someone's coming and get a charge and just be able to unleash it in their face.
I think more.
But she didn't try that. I noticed the ammo did go down when she did, so you couldn't just hold it forever.
Hold it, yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen just how effective that might be, because the player would spend a lot of time just kind of looking around people.
I'm just, I didn't walk away with that whole weapon, the photon projector, not wild about it.
Sentries, we didn't really get to see the effectiveness of them because it's kind of a drop and forget type thing. So every now and then, I think we saw a couple kills from them. Definitely saw lots of notifications that they've been destroyed.
Yeah,
lots of that. But it's hard to judge the effectiveness. As you had mentioned earlier, you didn't even notice the slow because you thought it was some other ability in the other gameplays.
I did.
So, yeah, I agree with you though. It would have been nice to see the player put up some more traps, especially as they like showing off the character perspective. Like kind of like doing at least a little bit of gameplay that's kind of campy might have been interesting. Just kind of just show how the turrets work and kind of playing around the turrets. Because I think the combo there is that you set up a turret trap and that slows the person, and then you're able to get the blast on them with the alt fire, or you're able to get a bunch of lightning beam damage charged up. So she might be a good area denial person where she can just hold down a hallway or a corner with turrets and the slow combos mixed with the beam. But we don't get a good idea of it from the gameplay because they didn't really play like that. They just kind of jumped all over the place.
Yeah, I just feel like, you know, we didn't get a spectacular showcase of some of the things that I think Symmetra can probably do well. So I guess my opinion on it right now is a little, and it can't all the way be there because we just didn't see, especially with the Sentry turrets. Like I said, I saw it at the beginning. I said, oh, okay, she's going to be laying around turrets the whole time, kind of trying to set up traps. We just didn't see that.
Yeah, you can't have 6 of them active at a time. I don't know if she ever got up to that point. Definitely didn't have them in the same areas. They were definitely all scattered all over the place.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see kind of some gameplay around that setup, you know, kind of gameplay. On that same note, with the Photon Shield, her E ability, at the beginning of the match, she got everyone boosted up, and then
she didn't focus on it, but I thought that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's good. It is just like it's boring, I think is the word. I hate using boring, but the gameplay was boring as a whole. But like, it's fire and forget. You throw it on them, and then they're good until they die. So there's no upkeep or anything. It's just straight up like, just dump this on them if you see someone without a shield. You can't put them on your turrets. You can't put them on anything else. So like, once you have it on the 5 players, it's just a dead spell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you aren't doing anything with that ability. So it would have been, I don't know what the gameplay there is. It's beneficial for sure. Not necessarily interesting from a character perspective.
Did you feel like it needed to not be a fire and forget and more of a persistent, like, let me stay on like a Mercy style?
I'm not sure.
I just feel like...
I mean, Zarya kind of has some of that type of gameplay.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like if it wasn't a fire and forget, you would see Symmetra in a lot of different positions around teammates more, and possibly trying to set up some different styles of.
It might prevent you from camping, right? Like, you have to go chase people and get shields on them. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm not sure. To me, it's a good spell, good ability, but it does seem kind of boring. I mean, the character as a whole is like clearly built to be a low skill entry character. I think everything on the kit is passive. The teleporter is like, it's all utility. There's lots of utility here, but they're all passive things that don't involve lots of like timing or doing the right thing. Like you drop the teleporter, you fight, you forget about it after you drop it. You throw the photon shield on everyone, you forget about it. You put sentry turrets down, you leave, you forget about them. Even the primary fire is like crazy auto aim, so you just kind of shoot in their general direction, and it kind of helps you along the way. So it seems like it's very much targeted at a lower skill, like kind of like, hey, here, if you want to play a sport character, this is a good one for you to start on, this beginner level character.
I could see that. I feel like despite it being maybe the entry point for a character, like in order to run into I think a very good Symmetra, we're probably gonna have to you're gonna have to sink some hours into it, one, but I think I don't necessarily know what that actually looks like. You know what I mean? Like, what is a good Symmetra?
It's possible sentry turrets are defining, but again, sentry turrets is one of those things you could look up a guide that's like, hey, when you play this map, here are some very good spots against these heroes, and then you can go execute it. If you have no shooter skill whatsoever, you can execute that.
Yeah.
Now, whatever you do off the primary fire, maybe the primary fire, there's some like different skill and components. But for the most part, it's a pretty easy character to play. The teleporter does have a limited amount of charges, which they didn't, it's not evident in the video, but you can only drop it 10 times during a match.
Huh.
Which is a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of teleporters destroyed. Which I think is just prevent you from kind of Zerg rushing the enemy base and keep dropping teleporters further and further up each time.
Right.
Every time it's off cooldown. That's the only thing I can think. And they said that if you have multiple Symmetras on a team, there would be like multiple portals in the base to select from. Since when you drop a teleport, you're dropping the exit point, and then back at base, the starting point is spawned.
Okay.
So there'd be like a full selection of teleporters. I don't know how you know which one goes to which.
Choose your door.
Yeah, choose your door.
It'd be interesting.
I mean, there's tons of utility here. Like, it's got the teleporter. The teleporter could potentially be a huge skill thing. I do think that if you play a better team, as soon as they team wipe your team, like they're gonna go hunt for that teleporter.
Yeah. I mean, I could like project in the future of like Symmetra, like high end. When I saw that teleporter get placed behind that objective, I was like, oh, yeah, this could be really good around some of those spots where you're a nuisance and you don't know where that teleporter is at, and you keep having people flood in, and then you drop another one in another location. It's like, I thought it was just here. Now they're coming out of this spot. You know what I mean?
Provided there's lots of spots. It depends on the map, ultimately.
Yeah, that's totally true.
Provided there's lots of useful spots that still get you close enough that you're able to influence things and take advantage of the teleporter timing.
I can see people getting upset if you have a Symmetra on your team and they're not dropping those teleporters in the spot that everyone knows is the spot.
Yeah.
There's going to be some upset folks.
I know in the Zenyatta gameplay, someone had timed out the walk from spawn versus like using the teleporter. And it was like 13.5 seconds from death to getting back into the action normally. And then with Symmetra, it was like 6.5 or 7.5.
Oh,
so it shaves off like a good 5 or 6 seconds off your respawn, essentially.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, that's enough so that you can get back and get a second wave on the objective. Although, against good teams, again, like projecting towards a more competitive or ranked environment, if you are all coming off spawn and you're hoping to retake the point off that, I think you're going to have a hell of a time, especially if the other team has any ultimates remaining, because you aren't going to have any.
True.
I guess you could. No, you could have it. Never mind. If you die with the ultimate, you hadn't used it.
It doesn't. Yeah, if it's persistent.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's enough to turn the battle. I do think against good teams, they're gonna be hunting the shit out of the teleporter as soon as they start killing people. And if you don't have a good hiding spot, it's gonna be rough. But yeah, there's tons of utility here. You can get the teleporter, the shield, the turrets. All of those can help lock down areas or benefit the team. I just think the character seems, at a glance, like by first shooter kind of character.
Would you put Symmetra in your starting rotation as of right now?
I'd rather have a Zenyatta doing lots of the similar utility.
After last week's?
And Mercy's way ahead of both.
Okay.
I feel like Mercy's in like a separate category as a healer, and the other two are kind of supports. I'd even argue like Zarya in a way as a support. Zarya does some pretty supporty stuff. Between the shield and just being able to kind of like rain artillery.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We need to see a good Zarya gameplay, but it seems like they kind of fill a similar role. I'd almost rather have Zarya's shield than the type of shield Symmetra puts out.
Zarya's is a personal shield, right?
It goes on other people.
Oh, it
And
does.
as
Does
they
she have to
take
be in proxy?
no, as they take damage, it buffs.
Okay.
I hope that's correct. I believe that's correct.
Take a look at her moveset.
Yeah, but I'm not feeling Symmetra. Although I can see the teleport potentially being a huge thing if the maps and the playstyles account for it.
We'll have to see.
But yeah, those are 2 videos this week. I really hope that tomorrow, because we're posting this, well, I guess we'll be posting this tomorrow, so when this airs, I hope that we get a gameplay for a tank.
Yes, that'd be nice.
I also like to see Torbjorn, since everyone's been kind of shitting on him for being useless. And it'd be nice to see the good player, the guy who's been playing the Tracer gameplay, the person who I assume was in the other gameplays, rocking the Torbjorn and just decimating a room.
What is that guy from Smite that has
Vulcan.
Vulcan. Vulcan
with
was
his turret.
so incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
And I see Torbjorn being basically the same way.
Yeah, he doesn't have the
it's in
turret
right
power.
hands.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I just really hope it's one of those. I mean, we've gotten through almost all the assault characters, right? There's only
there's a few left.
Farah's left. They can do a Farah gameplay. Farah, Widowmaker,
Zarya.
and Reaper, and Zarya. I think those are the ones that are missing. And then all the tanks haven't gotten any love.
Yeah.
Support's out of the way. And Mercy reigns supreme. So yeah, we'll do another video next week with whatever videos they come out with on Wednesday and Thursday. Really love this release schedule, by the way. So nice.
It's awesome.
Nice. I get excited on Wednesday and Thursday mornings, waiting for the next Overwatch videos before lunch.
He's tweeting us immediately as soon as they drop. He's like,
yep.
boom, here they are.
Here's your video. Enjoy it. So, yeah, we'll do a video next week. Hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any comments or discussion, feel free to drop it in the chat. We've been reading them and kind of going back and forth with people on theory crafting and kind of thinking about how the game will play out. So if you have any thoughts, feel free to drop them in the comments. And that'll do it for us.
Later.
Peace.